and welcome to another Crypto Talk.
Yeah, dog. What's going on?
Boy, we got a lot of people for this one, don't we?
It's a packed house tonight.
So let's. Yeah, it is. We've never had this many people on Crypto Talk before, so this is gonna be epic. So let's start with Grant. I'm sure all of you have seen Grant if you've been on Crypto Talk before. Go ahead and say something.
Hi. Yeah, welcome to be back. I'm so glad to be back yet again. You guys are awesome, and really, I come here to learn from you guys more than anything else. You know, I have a little bit of information, but honestly, it's just enjoyable to just get this discourse. We talk to each other, and I have a whole list. I talked to you earlier today, right? You got a list of stuff that I have to look up for tomorrow. Informative for me more than anyone else, as far as I'm concerned. So it's awesome to be here yet again.
Thanks for coming on, man. We love it. Anytime we're on here, it's always an epic show. That's for sure.
Now you brought some of your friends this time. You want to introduce your friends and tell us a little bit about them? Okay,
well, since I'm with PIVX, I'll start with the PIVX part. We got Fuzzballs here. Fuzzballs is one of the developers of PIVX. He's an awesome guy. I got to meet him in San Francisco this year. I really appreciate the work he's done in our ecosystem with PIVX. And, you know, hey, Fuzz, welcome to the crypto chat here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And then I got Rick, ICO Rick. He's part of our Saskatoon, where we are actually right now. He's the leader of our Saskatoon Meetup group. We started a couple of years ago, and it's gone from the two of Rick and his buddy to the three of us to now we've had 3 meetups in the last 8 weeks with 10 to 15 people per meetup, and pretty much 90% everybody new. It's just amazing to see the growth, the change in the last couple of years from a couple of guys who just, you know, were isolated. We were looking for friends that we can talk to people who are just really clamoring to hear some real information. Things have changed.
Yeah, so I just want to thank Grant for inviting me. I started the Meetup group because I wanted to talk crypto with people, and you know, I haven't been on YouTube in a while. It was a couple of years ago, and crypto wasn't quite as big back then. So decided to be back on board and, you know, looking to talk crypto with people. It's my favorite topic to discuss, so let's do it.
No, I definitely feel you on that one. It's so nice to have a large community on YouTube as far as crypto, because I walk out there and my family, group of friends, and I have no one to discuss cryptocurrency with that understands or really gives a crap. Usually just like, oh yeah, okay, oh yeah, here goes Bitcoin again. But actually seeing people involved and grouping up with you guys is awesome. Appreciate you being here tonight, ICO Rick. It's exciting.
Oh, thanks. I don't know about that nickname. I didn't know I was ICO Rick until tonight. But yeah, honestly, I split my portfolio into 3 different sections. I've got my long-term DApp coins, then I've got my ICO pool that I kind of buy and sell and flip, and then I do have some of my staking pool as well. So I'm not just ICOs, I'm a little bit across the board.
Oh, hey, and can we just let's start off right away with the disclaimer, right?
Yes.
None of what anybody hears here is advice on what to do with your money. If you invest in cryptocurrency, buyer beware. Do your homework.
Absolutely.
More than you can afford to lose.
Yeah, I mean, we meet a lot of noobs in our Meetup group, and they often want to just copy what you're doing, and I just don't feel comfortable about that at all. They think because I'm talking about a project, it's a recommendation. That's not true. You know, there are projects out there I really like. There's so many, you can't own everything you like. You know, I've been the guy with 50+ coins, and it becomes impossible to manage and follow and determine, you know, what you should do with that many different investments. So I like talking about things across the board. Definitely no investment advice coming from me today.
Yeah, it's just regular guys that have so much passion in this in the crypto space. We're just getting together on a Friday night. I don't know if you're drinking a beer, Rick. I'm having a beer. Grant's having a beer. Gary's drinking coffee, but it's an online meeting, and I wish I could take advantage of a local group. I might start one, just like you guys, where you guys met, and that'd be kind of cool. I don't think the local community around here would really be into it, but I can go further out in the Los Angeles area. Maybe there's a group I can find. It would be nice.
For sure. Yeah.
Got to start somewhere.
Oh yeah, definitely. Got to start. It's all online right now for me.
Cool.
And then we have we have Fuzzballs. Did Fuzzballs introduce himself?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, good to be here. Grant told me about this late last night / early this morning, I guess. So timing happened to work out. I'm still kind of working, so if I'm a bit quiet, don't mind me.
No, we appreciate you being here. It's multitasking, working. It's awesome. Kind of want to do a little intro about yourself or what you're working on, whatever you want to say.
Working on PIVX, as always.
No, we appreciate you being here. It's multitasking, working. It's awesome. Kind of want to do a little intro about yourself or what you're working on, whatever you want to say. I think I hear myself.
As always.
Yeah. Getting an echo there.
Somebody's going to mute their YouTube.
I think it's Grant.
Yeah, it's me. I turned it off. Sorry.
I'm sorry. My internet's been shut off and on. So.
Yeah. So what are we working on, Fuzz?
A lot of zero coin stuff at the moment. A lot of polishing. I got a lot of build system updates that I'm doing as well that are independent of zero coin, but will also be included in the zero coin release.
Well, when will that happen?
I can't say that.
Very soon, though. That's what I hear.
Yeah, it's soon.
So for some of the people out there, they're not aware of what zero coin is. I'm just giving layman's terms so that they might understand that better.
Yeah, zero coin in its original implementation, which is what we're working off of. It's a white paper that discusses and outlines a set of protocols for handling transactions privately. A number of coins have implemented variations on that protocol. First and foremost being Zcoin, which it's a little confusing. Zcoin is using the zero coin protocol. However, they're not using what is publicly visible on the lib0coin code base. They're using a continuation of that. Now, Zcash is another popular one. They named their protocol ZeroCash. It's an adaptation of the lib0 coin. PIVX is also implementing an adaptation of the original lib0 coin.
Okay. So that'll give complete anonymous transactions on the network.
Correct.
Then. Okay. When that is implemented, when we go and we look at the blockchain, look at a transaction that is using that protocol, what exactly will someone see on the blockchain?
Well, they're still going to see the amount. Like when someone sends zero coin to another people or to another person, they're still going to see the amount. They're going to see the destination. They're not going to see where it came from, because that's what zero coin's all about. It's about fungibility. Anonymity through fungibility. You cannot trace the source. You can still see the destination address because destination addresses are public. But through the zero coin minting process, there is no association with the source.
Okay. Excellent.
So where does
Thomas,
this
anything
fit?
you want to add?
No, I was going to ask, like, where does this fit within like the privacy sort of scale of other coins? Is this comparable to anything?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's comparable to a number of different things. The way I see privacy is ambiguous when you say it just as privacy, because it can mean any number of different aspects of privacy. For PIVX, we've got transaction privacy, which is obviously going to be the zero coin. There's network privacy, which is already available because we are running off of Bitcoin Core, which can be routed over Tor, can be routed over VPN. So that's your network privacy. And then, of course, you've got your actual, anonymity in the sense that addresses don't contain any personally identifiable information. That's just inherent to all cryptos.
I did have a question now, because you're running a Bitcoin Core. Is it possible or is it even on the roadmap for PIVX to have SegWit on it? Is that, to be able to do hot swaps, with that they're talking atomic swaps, I guess?
Yeah, it is technically possible, not in the current form. Obviously, Bitcoin has evolved quite a lot over the years, and the first iteration, where it was called Bitcoin Core, quote unquote, was 0.10, and that's where the PIVX codebase has been started from. It's a Bitcoin Core 0.10. A lot of recent work has been pulled in from what's called upstream, but we're not quite at the point where if we decided to, we could just flip a switch and say, oh, hey, we have SegWit as well. It would take a bit more work.
Okay. Excellent.
Well,
Anyone
I was
else?
going to ask too.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask because somebody in the chat was, I think when they referred to as asking about predictions with the question mark, probably talking about as far as the price of PIVX. Would you agree? I think it's obvious, but once you guys release zero coin, the price is going to either do nothing or it's going to spike. I think it's going to spike. But are you finding yourself right now with $3.12 PIVX a cheap buy-in for people out there right now? I mean, with not saying that, like I said, we're not doing financial advice, but I'd say, since it hasn't been released, I think this is a great time to buy into PIVX if you really ask me.
My personal opinion and standpoint is, truth be told, I'm not a trader. I'm not an investor. I work in the industry. I use the industry through my work as a means of my income. Whatever the price happens to be at any given moment, that's the price that I either have to accept for my work or decline and charge more. With PIVX, I am employed with PIVX, I guess you could say. I have a long-term contract with them, so I've accepted the monthly payment that I get. Where can I see the price? I honestly don't know. I really don't pay attention to markets too much.
Well, Fuzz, I have a question somewhat related to price, but also related to the tech of the coin. And do you see anywhere in the future where maybe the emission rate would change? Because not being a developer, not being a tech guy, it seems like blockchains play block rewards and transactions to begin with as a way to incentivize miners to stick around and make the system secure, right? Like how Bitcoin is doing. But eventually the block rewards will stop with Bitcoin and they're just going to be moving to transactions only. Is there any scenario where you can see something like that happening with PIVX to stop the inflation? And, once there's so many nodes that, it's secure and you can just move forward like that? That's a total off the board question, but I'm just curious to get Fuzz, your opinion on that.
Well, the block reward isn't ever going to reach zero like it does with Bitcoin. And on top of that, we don't pay transaction fees to anybody. Every single transaction fee goes into unspendable oblivion, essentially getting removed from the available supply. Could the block rewards change in the future? Well, yeah, they could. I don't see any plans for that in the foreseeable future, but
so why are the transaction fees going into oblivion? Why aren't they being paid to the nodes or the stakers or something like that?
Mainly because with proof of stake, there is no reason to give transaction fees as the incentive, as is the case in proof of work. Most proof of work coins do follow Bitcoin in a sense where eventually, albeit in some cases hundreds of years down the road, the block reward is going to reach 0, in which time transaction fees are the only incentive for people to continue moving that chain. With proof of stake, with PIVX, the transaction fees have no bearing on the incentive. The incentive is the block reward, which continues indefinitely.
Well, then what do you know about Waves? Because they're a proof of stake system with a fixed number of coins, and they pay their miners 100% through transaction fees.
Honestly, I haven't looked at Waves at all, so I can't really speak to them and what kind of technology they use. Gonna make a broad statement here and say that, having said what I've just said, I do know that a lot of instances of the term or the phrase proof of stake has absolutely nothing to do with the block proofing system. I've read a number of articles relating to Dash, to other masternode coins, to mainly masternode coins, but I've seen a couple other instances where the term proof of stake has been thrown out. It has nothing to do with the block proof methodology. Proof of stake in our sense is the proof method used to generate each and every block on the chain.
So if you wouldn't call some of those coins proof of stake, what are they? You know, my understanding that the consensus algorithms are proof of work and proof of stake, and if the so-called proof of stakes aren't using a proofing for the blocks, like I've never really heard that opinion said anywhere before. So what would you call them?
And most of the time, they're actually proof of work. There's hardware hashing involved, and what is being called proof of stake is not a proof method at all. It is just a subsidy reward.
Okay.
That's new for me too. I like that. Now I gotta look something else up. Jeez.
Yeah, add that to your list.
There you go.
Get that. Hold on, get the pen here going.
We have one person that's asking, how do you prevent spam transactions?
Okay, so spam transactions. So even though the transaction fee isn't paid to anybody, transaction fees are dynamically calculated. If someone's spamming the network with transactions, the transaction fee for each transaction is going to be driven up. It's just no one's getting paid those transaction fees. So it's very counterproductive to do such a spam attack.
Costs money to play, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Well, kind of on the same topic, Fuzz, is there like a point where PIVX becomes so expensive that the transaction fees that are being burned are just too much and they have to be regulated somehow? Like that's a possibility for any potential gas coin. And do you have an opinion on how that might happen? Because as an investor, it's almost like we want two conflicting things to happen. We want massive users to come into the system and start using the blockchain, causing demand for the coin. But if that demand causes the price to go so high and the transactions are so high, that's going to hurt the user base and the advantages of why they're using the system in the first place. So how do you get high adoption with high price at the same time when these coins are being used for gas? Is there like going to be some sort of market or regulated or some sort of upper ceiling? Or do you have any thoughts or opinions on that?
That's going to have to be one of those issues where we'll review it as a development team and as a community if and when that happens. It's such a hard topic to tackle prematurely because what is expensive? That's very subjective to each and every individual using the currency. So some sort of consensus would need to be reached. As it is right now, the transaction fees are like 0.00001 PIV per kilobyte worth of transaction, averaging a fraction of a cent right now, I believe.
So the community will be the ones to decide, how much it's going to be, more or less.
Yeah, they will. And this is one of the things we're working on right now is community design governance. It's actually really active, and anybody that's really interested in getting involved and understanding what's happening, please join the PIVX Slack. Go to the governance channel and look at what they're proposing in the basic white paper that's being we do have the way to hearing feedback actually from someone. But anyways, we're really creating the dynamic where anybody in our community will be allowed to vote on these situations. You don't have to be a master node. You don't have to be a staker. We're creating the ability for the community to decide, when things go bad or go good or need to be changed, we can change it.
And then you're also, as far as the governance, we've talked about it before. The roadmap is definitely going to involve everyone, no matter how much PIVX they hold. It's not going to be just master nodes that have to say over everybody, correct?
It's the goal. And we're working on right now it's, you should read the paper. It's pretty amazing. it's even hard to understand, like seriously. But the first steps are what we're really working towards right now is those first steps. What is the next step to take? Because it does, as we know, like the blockchain, your decisions will not disappear. It will decide the next one and the next one. So the next steps, it looks like, stakers will be able to vote. I have a feeling that will be the next thing, but read the paper that's on our governance system and governance channel and see where we're going with that. It looks like everybody will be able to vote, but one step at a time.
Yeah, I just want to step in. As far as the decision to remove the masternodes as the sole voting power on the network, that's a done deal. That proposal has already been voted on. It has already passed. The masternode owners unilaterally agreed to give up their sole voting rights.
Yeah, and if for some reason they don't do it, that creates a dynamic that how can you trust the masternodes now, right? Correct, folks? Hello?
Excellent.
Yeah,
Okay.
you know what I mean, right? They've made that promise, they've committed to it, and if they don't follow through with that, they're going to lose, right? Again, as for disclosure, I've probably told this before, I own no masternodes. I'm a staker. That's what I do. I'm looking forward to being able to vote with my stakes, and and I want everybody to be involved with this. So
now, since I got a question here in the chat, and I want to address it because I do know the answer, but I wanted to let you guys talk about it a little bit. But Boss Lady's asking if you're able to hold your PIVX on a hardware wallet.
Are you able to hold PIVX on a hardware wallet? At the moment, no. Needs firmware updates. Ledger is adding PIVX support in one of their forthcoming updates. It should be coming out fairly soon. in which case, yeah, you can hold PIVX on a hardware wallet at that point.
And if you're holding your PIVX on a hardware wallet, if you're a masternode, you'll be able to do that as well, right, Fuzz?
That is probably going to come in a subsequent update due to some technical limitations. But yeah, storing the 10,000 collateral on a ledger device or any other hardware device that happens to implement PIVX will be possible.
Well, that's news to me. So you're saying
Cool.
coming on the ledger soon, huh?
Yeah, initial support is coming out fairly soon. Holding masternode collateral on a ledger device is probably not going to be in that same initial release, but will happen, to be honest, probably in early 2018, if not sooner.
It's what the people are asking for. You know, everybody wants to be able to store on a hardware wallet. And the fact that no matter how much you hold, whether you got a masternode or you got 50, 60, 70 PIVX, your voice to be heard is unlike any other structure of a coin out there. You got to be an enormous whale investor to have any say, if any at all, which is nice that PIVX is going to attempt that approach to really put on a large scale.
If you do actually get into the governance channel and read the paper that they're working on, they're talking about quadratic voting, where moving your votes are bad news. If you try and divide your million PIVX or 100,000 or whatever you have into smaller pieces, you're going to lose your voting power. But groups of individuals that have a little bit of voting will be able to square up their power. It's crazy math. I don't even understand it all. But they really are trying to make the back-end math on this to really reflect a non-gameable system. We don't have a voting system on the planet that works, right? We got corporations. That's $1, one vote. It doesn't matter if it's a share for Tesla for $300. It's still $1, one vote, right? We have governmental systems, which is first past the post, right? Which we know, two-party systems, they never work. It's not a single governmental system on the planet that is actually fair and represents individuals individually. It just doesn't happen. Your money, your power gives you the power, right? They're really trying in the governance to allow and de-game the system. Allow people to vote and de-game the system. And the biggest hurdle I've seen so far is trying to find a way to do a decentralized identity, because if you can do that, then you have the ability to actually have a one person, one vote sort of system where you have no more power than the next guy, right? We're not there yet. 5 years, 10 years, I have no idea. But these guys are working hard. So get in there into that Slack in there and start reading what they're talking about and give them some input, because these guys are adaptable. They're gonna, if they hear a good idea, they're gonna go, hey, holy crap, Yellow, that was a beautiful idea. I want to do that, right? Thomas, you know, they're open to anything if it makes sense and they haven't thought about it. There are egos, but they're not that big.
Yeah, that's a good approach to really stand by, because you guys have the competition has always stood, you know, Dash versus PIVX. Well, you got a lot of privacy coins out there that are competitors.
Dash is
well, it's not. I would not consider them a strong competitor, but you.
I got tagged. I got contacted by the guys from CoinFirm for calling them out for saying Dash is not a privacy coin because CoinFirm is involved, and they said, well, only people who want to use our system will be identifying the dirty money. And I said, you're arguing my point. If you can actually trace the dirty money, it's not fungible, it's not private, and you guys can do it for anyone who decides to show up. Dash is going corporate. They've decided to do that. No fungibility, no privacy. They don't even have instant send anymore, right? Because the spork has been, the fuzzball, what happened with that spork? They had some sort of exploit that could be taken advantage of, right? The three things that make them Dash no longer exist. Their corporate coin, IBM coin, JP Morgan coin. I'm going to call Dash JP Morgan coin.
Well, they're big. They're big because of the marketing aspect. I tell you that. That's where they get the upper hand on everybody. But the one other coin, privacy coin, or another coin that's would be a competitor and everybody thinks it's true and unique would be Monero, for instance. So, as far as talking about Monero, what are your thoughts versus PIVX?
I don't argue with Monero. Those guys are
They're
brutal.
There's no doubt in my mind that Monero does have privacy and security pretty much locked down. My biggest issue with Monero, and I looked into them a couple of years ago, it was a usability issue. I know they have a very large following. I know their following is very technically inclined, and more power to them for that. But I don't see, my mom or, the average, housewife per se picking up Monero anytime soon.
Yeah, and wasn't there some sort of issue that if anybody could actually expose one Monero transaction, the entire chain could have been exposed?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sorry, I read that somewhere. Maybe I'm wrong. Monero killers, don't come after me. Really, I actually kind of like it.
I think Yellow's got a nice point of view on that. We've talked about it, Yellow. Give them your 2 cents of what we've added up together, what you told me in regards to that.
About what now? I'm sorry, I was looking in the chat. What was it now?
Monero.
Monero? Oh, the way I understand about Monero being a privacy coin is because they're using ring signatures, I believe it is, they're calling it, where everything rotates, addresses rotate. And the way I understand of what I've heard is that if you can break 10% of that algorithm, you can unravel the entire network and know where every single transaction is going.
You heard anything about that, Rick?
No, I as just an investor, I've never bought Monero. I think it was one of the top highest gaining coins of 2016, and I didn't hold it through that run. And I'm more of a buy low, sell high kind of guy. So I thought, well, it's not going to be at the top for 2, 3, 4 years in a row, and they've got lots of good competition. So I'm not really paying attention to it. But I have a question maybe Fuzz can answer on, we were just talking about governance. If PIVX is doing stakers, make money and stakers get a vote, what's the incentive to run a master node? And don't you need the master nodes to proof the blocks and keep the system in the consensus?
Yeah, staking and master nodes are a symbiotic relationship. Irregardless of their voting power. Stakers need masternodes because a masternode payment is required for each block. Masternodes need stakers because masternodes don't create blocks. So the seesaw algorithm does balance it out. Right now, there are a lot more masternodes than would be needed at this point in time. Given the amount of coins available. So when people come into Slack and talk about, the return on investment for masternodes being down right now compared to staking, they're right, because there's a lot more masternodes and the seesaw algorithm is compensating for that. But if the number of masternodes suddenly dropped, say like 1,000, well, guess what? Masternodes are going to start paying more than staking.
Right. I didn't know that the symbiotic relationship was the point where the masternodes needed the stakers to make the blocks. So then,
yes.
Yeah, obviously then the seesaw will sort of answer that question. And Kat mentioned, good God, I'm selling my Monero. I don't know if she's saying that based on what I said, but if she was not here at the beginning, nothing I say is investment advice, just my opinion. It could moon tomorrow, and then you're gonna find me and hate
the
me.
narrow
So,
guys after us, please.
yeah, please don't say that.
I've
Just been telling you my opinion and thoughts. That's all. Do not act on
Well,
it.
actually, I'd like to take this discussion about the seesaw algorithm to another point. In the last year, we've seen a couple of instances where massive amounts of masternodes have been dropped off the system, right? And through all sorts of weird things. There was one guy that hit a telephone pole and took out one of the major guys that were hosting, right? And we lost all the power, so they lost all the masternodes, and it gave masternodes a huge bump, right, for whoever was left. Right, they made a lot of money, and it's happened about, I think, it's 3 or 4 times in the last 6 months that this has happened. And how do we solve a problem, or is there a possibility for a way to game that system to drop a bunch of masternodes to make more money? You know what I mean? Take people out so yours are only online. I've seen it 3 or 4 times. Do you have any thoughts on that, Fuzz?
Truth be told, using centralized systems like a masternode host are, yeah, it's convenient, and that's why people do it. But it adds a lot of centralization, just like mining farms. So that's one of the risks that you take. If someone goes and DDoSes a masternode hosting provider, yeah, that's a possibility. It can happen. I don't think there's been a coordinated DDoS attack on any of the masternode providers that PIVX has, though I'm sure it's happened to other masternode coins, and it might happen to PIVX in the future. I don't know.
Fuzz, coordinated DDoS attacks, he said. Not a tech guy. How many nodes are necessary? And I'm curious because I've invested primarily in permissionless blockchains, but seems to be more or a few more permission ones coming out. And I always just thought you want to be permissionless. You want to have as many nodes as possible. It's going to be more secure that way. Private blockchains are garbage, but there seems to be gaining a little bit of steam from some projects I'm looking at. Do you have an opinion on them? Are they secure? How do you determine if you need 30 nodes, 100 nodes? How is that? Do you have an opinion on that?
No, not right now, actually.
No? All right. You're the tech guy, so I thought I'd throw that question out there.
Yeah, I can't say as far as how many nodes do you need. Bare minimum, how many like masternodes would PIVX need at this current point in time? Minimum 6, I think it is.
Oh, that's all.
Obviously, like Swift transactions would be slow. They wouldn't be very swift with only 6 masternodes because there is a process that distributes which masternodes handle those transactions.
So why did you say 6? Like if you're DDoSing it, 6 computers to take down, that doesn't seem that hard.
No.
But again, like, I don't.
There's currently, let me see how many masternodes there are right now.
There's you have 2,271 masternodes. 65% of all masternodes are hosted in the United States.
Yep. But I don't think, well, I know for a fact that even of the 65%, they're not all in one place.
No, they're not in one spot. No, they're scattered around.
Yeah. So if you even take out the the biggest hosting provider, you're still going to have plenty of masternodes on the network. You'd have to take out all of the hosting providers, plus a lot of individuals that don't use hosting providers.
Right.
Which, and they're all over the world. That's just an infeasible attack.
Okay, Fuzz, what do you like? What's your favorite coin besides PIVX?
PIVX is my life right now. I don't have another favorite coin. I guess. I guess maybe Bitcoin because that's where I get most of my actual bill paying power from.
Right, Bitcoin to fiat, and then you get paid, right?
Yeah.
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 Well,
Utility companies don't take PIVX yet.
What's your favorite coin, really? Like, what are you into, right? Like, what do you think is your best guess for your best success? Rick, what do you got?
Not investment advice. I'm sort of like Singular DTV right now. They've did their ICO a little over a year ago, or about a year ago, and you see a lot of coins that that have done a lot of development around that time, and they get close to releasing their product, sort of taking off. So I invested in the AntShares ICO, and they look like a dead project 5, 6, 7, 8 months later. A year later, they do a rebrand, they get some publicity, it goes through the roof. Waves was a little bit of the same thing, right? Dropped 40, 50% from the ICO. It took about a year of development to get closer to releasing something. It goes up a lot. So Singular DTV has 18 different dApps that are part of the ecosystem. They're all going to be producing revenue. 5 of them are being released in quarter 4 this year. They've got 14 full-time developers, 60 employees, offices in 6 different countries. They've got not Keanu Reeves, but the other guy from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure directing their documentary on blockchain. I like Singular DTV. That's one of my coins I'm really excited about.
Cool. Thomas, what do you got?
As my favorite coin right now, well, my favorite trading coin that I've been trading a lot by the past month or so has actually been Ethereum Classic. I hold a lot of it, but I've been taking advantage of these market cap dips and going in and out of Ethereum Classic. So for trading, it's been Ethereum Classic. I'm really bullish right now, though, with OMG, Omis Go. I'm really excited about that project. I've seen the growth since I've been investing in it, in and out. I hold a decent amount to long-term hold. And then I do purchase a decent amount, like I said, during these market cap dips. My strategy is simple. Top 10 coins I focus on, which make the market cap pretty much, are the coins I'm going anytime there's FUD, talking about the banning of ICOs and local Bitcoin exchanges being taken off over in China. Jamie Dimon, you name it, all the rumors and speculation out there that are negative towards Bitcoin that really bring the market down. I focus on the top 10 to 20 coins to trade in and out of. But if I had to say, like, my favorite long-term, number one, yes, would be PIVX, that's for sure. But yeah, of course. but Ethereum and Litecoin are also future long-term holds that I really believe in. I could speculate and say Ethereum could be worth $1,000 one day. I could say the same thing about Litecoin. But I do think, just to narrow it down, in the top 5, those coins, minus Ripple, would be the ones where I would be focusing my portfolio to have enough to say, hey, look, if I hold these coins 5 years down the road, me and my family are going to be well off because I did invest in those. And due to the fact that they're taking up this market cap space with such a large amount of money going into them, I figured that those would be the best long-term hold investments by far.
Yeah.
Kind of a lot to say, but
Yellow, what do you think? What's yours?
Oh man, I'm in so many coins.
Your shitcoin and your fuck coin. Excuse me, you're not gonna get that.
Yeah, I got some of those. I got some fuck tokens. I really have a lot of hopes for PIVX. Just the whole way that PIVX is looking at the community so much different than any other coin, and it ticks both of my top 2 things for coins moving into next year. And I believe that coins moving into next year, the coins that we're going to really see the massive gains in are going to be staking coins, and PIVX nails both of them. And I really think that this coming year is going to be the year of purple. How's that sound?
You gotta like that. Hey, Fuzz, you've been doing a good job.
Yeah, thanks. It's not just me, though. It's not just me.
Yeah, but you're the only one here right now, so you can take all the credit and then pass it on. No. Actually, all the developers in PIVX are always accessible. You know, maybe they sleep too, but get on our Slack and you have a question, ask. They'll help you out. So I've never been involved with a community that's so open and available.
You didn't answer your own question, Grant. Other than PIVX, what other coins are you enjoying and looking at right now?
Blockchain servicing kind of coins like BlockNet, Qthumb. I'll actually have a look here. One of my favorites, because my top 10 are like Unisco. I love them, right? I really like the balls of there for Bitcoin Cash, taking on the biggest coin on the planet and basically forking it into the #3 spot. I love it. Neo, Particle, backed them as boring as hell, but they're the only guys that actually have contracts that are paying them right now. Like I said, BlockNet, I own Waves, Stratus, Komodo. These are my top 10, right? They're all doing something with other coins, right? The coins themselves aren't that big a deal, but and as we had in our meeting last night at Jerry's in Saskatoon, which they give us a great place to host our meetups, don't they, Rick? Yeah,
that's right. I'm looking for some free appetizers next time we go.
Jerry's.
Jerry's on 8th Street.
Yeah, my biggest focus, the reason I got involved, was about trying to find ways to bring blockchain companies into the real world market, which is probably not the best way to put it. The kind of investments that you can put into your in Canada would be your TFSA, your RRSP. Those are retirement plans or tax-free savings accounts. It would be Roth IRAs in the United States, right? Any companies that you can actually invest in as a civilian without having to know anything, right? So as far as I am, like I said, if you're in the U.S., the Grayscales. In Canada, BTO Group, who was the other guy that these guys just came up last week. I'll get this one up. It was a Hive blockchain tech just came up this month, and what was the company, Rick? We were talking about the Bitcoin ETF in Canada that's actually put their papers in. I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I can't remember the name either.
Yeah, but it's happening here right now. They're trying to get an ETF in Canada for Bitcoin. And these are the things that I think are going to actually start to move the public more and more into the space, like lightly, without having to have any tech. They don't have to know anything because people are lazy. They don't want to know. Even I'm lazy. I don't want to have 8 wallets. I want 2. I can't keep track of it all, right?
So when these investments go mainstream like that, they're not going to manage and decide them themselves, right? They're going to be investing into the capital funds that are currently existing, right? The Crypto Capital or Pantera Capital or what are some of the other ones?
Another US one, yeah, but you need I think you need $6 to $10 million to get into the Pantera right now. Don't quote me on that. But people want civilians, uncrypto civilians want somebody else to deal with their crypto, right? They want basically either VC investing or I'm invested in a company or an ETF, like I said, like Grayscale, or if Genesis, the Gemini ever got their shit together and got it through, you'd be owning Bitcoin through exchanges that are like the NYSE or TSX in Canada, right? People don't want to get involved in the actual trading day to day and owning the wallets or anything. They do want a trusted system to invest into this untrusted system, right? Those are the things I'm looking for. So
yeah, and so is it your job, Grant, to find those fund managers and sell them on PIVX to get them part of the fund, so that when they sell them to the public, PIVX goes through the roof? Is that what you're doing?
No. My job right now, actually, I only have contact with one group. And I'll give him a shout out. It's Alden Brown out of Komodo, British Columbia. My guy, Kyle Williams. Kyle, you are now on YouTube. I've been talking to him now for a couple of years about Bitcoin. He's called me an idiot. Not an idiot, but he's like, yeah, whatever. But he's done
We've all heard it.
He's done like a 0.1x. I've done 60. So he's listening now, and now I get an email or a call from him once a week, and I get these the new companies that are coming aboard. Like I said, there's 2 in Canada. There's the one that came up last week. The ETF we're talking about, their papers went in on the 21st, I believe, and next year it is going to be 2. It's going to be 20, right? The year after that, 200. You can imagine it's going to be a dot-com bubble again. But if you're ahead of the game, you'll be able to make a huge amount of gains. It's almost like an ICO in a way, right? The idea that we're going to pump this whole area up, people are going to go panic and go crazy. They're going to get into it. If you're ahead of the game now, you already know. How do you find a quality project? You should know by now, right? How do you get in early? How do you get out before the music stops, right? That's the bubble.
I got a question for you, Grant, and I know somebody asked this in the chat a little bit earlier too, and it was a question I wanted to ask you. I know we've been kind of picking on Fuzz today with all the technical questions, but a roadmap as far as the marketing aspect of PIVX, because right now you guys dominate on so many different levels as far as a privacy coin compared to Dash, and then you got competitors like Monero. I think you guys are blowing Dash out of the water, but I watched a YouTuber out there that Yellow Fever for You watches as well, in the comparison where he says Dash is like McDonald's. You don't hear people saying that McDonald's has the best burger out there. However, they are a fierce competitor when it comes to marketing. They market their burger, their crypto like no other, where they used Amanda quite very well. You know, a female figure, very attractive, seemed to somewhat know what she was talking about. I think she was very scripted, but you got to remember too that the marketing aspect has a lot to do with where this cryptocurrency, as far as price and blowing up, you know, going mainstream in the crypto space, could really make a difference. You have a roadmap as far as marketing that's going to help you guys get that extra push that you obviously do need.
We're going to get you in a bikini, buddy.
That's going to be a flash crash right to 6 cents.
We're not doing that. You know what? I think Chad in Rhubarb Media out of Barrie, Ontario, our guys that are running there. There's Chad. There's Hannah, who's doing the translations. We now have 24 translations of our main PIVX page. We're bringing out a new PIVX page, new PIVX website coming out. I think it'll take a few months. We are hammering things in all areas, whether it's social media, whether it's just the main web page, whether it's the outreach of our developers that are actually available, right? You know, try and talk to, you know, whoever the hell it is in Bitcoin. Again, call Famous up, see what he thinks, right? You'll never hear an answer, except you'll get banned. We're doing it on all angles, but I really think that the thing that separates us is we're trying to find the stories of people. People have stories that matter. Who cares about Snoop Dogg getting busted for 300 grand or whatever he was taken across some border somewhere, right? It doesn't matter. We're looking for that family in Venezuela that is starving, and then somebody decided, hey, you know what, we got to try and get into this Bitcoin thing because we're going to die. And that story is huge, right? How do you help people, right? It could be anything. It's not the big, flashy Hollywood thing we're looking at. It's about people and small people. Stories. What's their story? We're actually financing not financing. We're supporting the Polish soccer team, right? The guy in Australia, the bodyboarder, right? All these people, they're small. They're the little guys. Those are the people that matter, because there's been enough of this big guy, too big to fail crap going on, right? How about too small to fail?
I like that. Too small to fail. That's a new one.
So that's all I can say. You know, you'd have to ask the marketing guys. I'm not exactly involved directly with them, but I'm going to ask them their bigger picture. I already know. It really does come down to it. It is the individuals, the people. Nobody cares. No, the other ones don't care. We win.
Yeah, it's marketing will put you in the spotlight, but I think you're focused on everybody clear across the board, starting with being a community-driven type of crypto. If you guys wanted to do community first, community's always gone first.
And governance is part of it, right? Governance is a big thing. Like, you got to vote too. You do, right? Fuzz, what was the smallest reward on a stake? Was it like 0.1 PIV?
Yeah, I think it was 0.1 recently. That was like this week.
You can earn, and eventually, if we decide to move in a direction where you actually, and this is one of the ideas that have been floating around in the governance situation, where maybe vote tickets will be given out at one layer for stakers, right? Every time you get a stake, you get a vote, right? Well, that 1.1 PIV guy gets a vote. He gets the same vote as the guy that has 10,000 PIV. He got randomly chosen. They belong, right? And of course, there will be other layers and sort of massaging of the numbers and making things work. But, that's big math. I'm not big math. It's Thomas. I'm just giving it.
Well, I'm glad. If you guys have you're very honest with what you feel is important as far as a governance compared to a governor.
Oh.
In regards to that kind of inside joke between us, or we've talked about it.
Yeah.
Dash having a governor.
Dash is by governors.
Governors.
And it doesn't matter how many there are, they're governors. Nobody else has a say. None of them.
Yep.
That's right. And are actively working on to make sure that even if there is a governor situation in a masternode, like all the masternodes, even if everybody is conglomerated, controlling, one guy had control of all the masternodes, the goal is to allow no control over the system. How do you game the system? These guys are working hard on it, and I have a lot of faith that they're doing it from the right direction. They're coming from the right place, and I think they're going to do it. First time ever on the planet, ever.
All right. Yeah, that's something that we're really excited about is the governance of the coin, and man, it really can move the coin in the right direction, and in the direction that the users want. That's what's really exciting about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the people's money, really. It's about people, isn't it? This whole thing, nothing works without people. Yeah, there's pump and dumps, there's Ponzi schemes, there's I'm going to get rich off of you, but what's the goal? I think it's usability and fairness.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else have anything else to say? I think we've been on for a while.
I haven't read that governance paper yet, but Grant mentioned it to me. So it's a complex topic, and I'll be interested to see kind of how they're addressing that issue of not gaming the system and so on. It's something that every crypto is going to have to take a look at sooner or later. So interesting to look at that.
All right. I guess we'll wrap it up. I just wanted to let everyone know that my nephew passed away, and there is a donation to help with the funeral down in the description. So definitely asking for some help. Anything that anyone can give is greatly appreciated. That's part of the reason why I haven't been around for a few days. Anyway, and I really appreciate everybody showing up for the Crypto Talk, and I hope to be doing it again with everyone. And definitely have you guys on again. It's always fun.
Thanks for hosting.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome Crypto Talk. It's super epic. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Anytime.
And we'll see everyone later in the chat. And until next time, you have a great day.
Yeah, dog.